following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
On the road tonight for the Cardinals, and Yadier Molina hitting .288. He's in the lineup this evening. Colby Rasmus back to the top of the lineup for Tony La Russa's club as they try to snap their three-game losing streak. We're at the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. Showdown in the Central. First place on the line. The Cardinals and the Reds on Fox Sports Midwest. And with my partner Al Raboski, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Welcome to Cardinals baseball. And right now, Al, the Reds, one of the hottest teams in the game. They've won 12 of the last 16. They've won 5 in a row. And there's a real early season test for the Cardinals.
Well, the Cardinals beat them 2 out of 3 in St. Louis. But since then, they have really been scoring a lot of runs, 6 per game. Their team average right at 300. Home runs 15. During that same time, they're 7-2. The Cardinals are 2-7. And the Cardinals have no home runs.
Aaron Harang, the opening day starter for the Reds, will go tonight, and Jaime Garcia, the starter for the Cardinals.
Well, he's really pitched extremely well. A quality start in all of his starts this season. He really needs to go out there and just continue what he's doing, keeping the ball down in the zone, getting a lot of ground balls, and really pitching extremely well.
Edging closer to our first pitch when we come back, 5:55. That's next on your home of the Cardinals, Fox Sports Midwest. The Queen City and the Great American Ballpark, the site of Game 1 of this 3-game series, the Cardinals and the Reds. We do this all the time. 5 players that could have an impact, and we do it in 55 seconds. We'll start with Cardinals third baseman David Freese.
David Freese has been quite an RBI man this year. He's second among rookies in batting average against the Cincinnati Reds, .450 average with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. Joey Votto has really picked up the pace. He's hitting well in the month of May, .400 in his last 6 games, and he is their best hitter. Aaron Harang will be on the mound tonight for Cincinnati. He's got a longer stride this year, which is translating into throwing the ball a lot harder. He's a big game weapon, and we'll see how he pitches here tonight. Brandon Phillips always comes to play. He's outstanding defensively. Last 5 games hitting .350. This team is 7-2 in their last 9. And Ludwig, one of the few Cardinal hitters, has really picked up the pace. A 6-game hitting streak, over .400. 2 games earlier this week, he had 3 hits in each game.
And that's a look at 5:55. We're edging closer to our first pitch. The Cardinals and the Reds, Game 1 of this 3-game series. Here in Cincinnati, the Cardinals still find themselves in first place, but the race is getting tight for Albert Pujols and the Cardinals. The opening day starter for the Reds, Aaron Harang, gets the call tonight. His club only a half game out. Scott Rowland, and this lineup has been revitalized. Brandon Phillips, the Gold Glover, leads the way. Reds and Cardinals coming up next. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Want to go home with me tonight? I'm the designated driver. Budweiser, responsibility matters. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. By Steak and Shake, life needs flavor. And by Chevy's Expert Auto Service. See your Mid-America Chevy dealers or shop and compare at stlchevy.com. Back at Cincinnati in the Great American Ballpark, let's take a look at the lineup. Colby Rasmus, Ryan Ludwig, and Albert Pujols. Matt Holliday, David Freese, and Yadier Molina. Then Skip Schumacher, Jaime Garcia, and Brendan Ryan batting ninth. Ryan off to the slow start at 173. And the Cardinals changing their lineup again tonight. So Colby Rasmus, who's hitting .280, leads it off. He's in the leadoff spot and looks at his strike. We're underway here in Cincinnati. Aaron Harang is the Marshall Wireless Sprint starter for the Cincinnati Reds.
He's 2-4 on the season. He's already lost twice to the Cardinals this year, but he's an innings eater and one of their more reliable pitchers. The Reds have turned it around with great starting pitching. They're 5-0, a 1.20 ERA in the last handful of games.
And that misses outside. 2 balls, 1 strike. A lot has been made of this series of being a big one between these two teams because the Reds are playing very good baseball. The Cardinals have come back to the pack a little bit, and the Reds find themselves only a half game back.
Well, the Reds are doing it with that good pitching. They're also fielding very well. They haven't made an error in quite a while, and they're timely hitting. They're hitting with runners in scoring position has really picked up.
And a 3-1 pitch, pop foul and out of play.
Also, Dusty has not seen his pitching staff walk anybody in 18 innings. That helps their cause.
No doubt. Game time temperature tonight 75 degrees. Very comfortable. And Aaron Harang 2-1 in his last 3 starts. And Colby draws a walk. That's one of the reasons that Tony has put him in that leadoff spot. His on-base percentage is one of the best in the National League, and certainly for the Cardinals. And it's a leadoff walk. Gomes, Stubbs, and Bruce in the outfield. Roland, Cabrera, Phillips, and Votto along the infield. This is our Dobbs defense, and it's Harang and Ryan Hannigan, the battery tonight. Good to see that walk, Al.
Well, it is. So you get runners on. We just told you they had gone 18 straight innings for a staff and 21 from the starters.
Here's Ludwig, who's been swinging a hot bat.
6-game hitting streak during that time, 11 for 27.
Now, the Cardinals were so dependent on home runs earlier this year, and you see the numbers on Ludwig. They now have gone 9 straight games without a home run. The last home run was Nick Stavanoa, pinch hitter in that series against the Phillies.
You know, everyone misinterpreted when we were complaining about all the runs being scored on home runs. The reason we were complaining about that is because we knew that at some point you were going to stop hitting home runs. And then you said, well, where's your offense when you don't hit the long ball?
Look at Tony La Russa and Tom Crean on the field today, the head basketball coach at Indiana. And a 1-1 pitch. Hit left side, past Roland, and a base hit. Even if he gets to that ball, you're probably not going to see him make a play. So the first 2 have reached. Ludwig continues his hot hitting, and with our Fox tracks shows you that was a ball outside, but he pulled it for a base hit.
Well, you know, when you're going to pull that ball, you roll over on it's going to hit it to the left side. Some of them will go through. Many times you turn it into a double play. But the philosophy where Mark McGwire has preached to his hitters today is spit on the inside pitch. Until you get to 2 strikes, do not go after anything that Harang throws inside, because he's going to look away, because that's where he's going to make his living.
First 2 have reached, and here's Albert Pujols. Amazingly, Ludwig, Pujols, Holiday, Rasmus, no home runs in May. And that's over 200 at bats combined with no home runs with those big guns.
Well, the last time we saw the Reds, and Cardinals have won 2 series against them, 4 games and with 2 losses.
0-1 pitch.
Well, Dan, these 2 teams have gone in different directions. The Reds, good pitching, good defense, good hitting, have gone 7-2. Cardinals have averaged only 2 runs per game. Their team average was under 200 and no home runs. But we know this is a team that's capable of getting back to scoring a lot of runs.
Outfield is straight away for Pujols and very deep, and here comes an 0-2 pitch. Ooh, he just missed the outside corner. Harang saying, you've got to be kidding me.
And see, that's where, you know, McGwire's saying, hey, look for that ball outside, look to drive that ball. That seemed like a pitch that, even though it was not called a strike, was very hittable, and really it was the perfect pitch to drive to the opposite field.
On 1-2, it fouled and out of play. Expecting a very big crowd tomorrow night, close to 40,000 for the civil rights game. Cardinals actually played in the original civil rights game. They played Cleveland, but that was in spring training.
Yeah, Memphis right at the end of the spring training. And then they now have that here in Cincinnati. It's a big affair.
1-2 pitch again to Pujols. 2-2. Holiday on deck. He's been swinging a hotter bat Ludwig has gotten hot, especially in the series against Houston. Can Albert get it going?
He's talking to Johnny Votto at the cage, and he said, looks up and goes, you know, Albert Pujols hitting .316. Now that's like somebody else hitting .240.
Great respect, obviously, of all the players in the league. Pujols has been doing this a lot. Pops it up to shallow right, and Bruce will make the catch. Well, Bruce is playing so deep. Took him a while to get to that ball. Let's take a look at the Plaza Tire Service replay.
See where this location is, and looked like he got in on Albert a little bit and not out on the sweet part of the bat. Right about where the blonde part of and the black part of the bat meet.
So jammed ever so slightly, and now Holiday. Matt is hitting .310, 4 home runs, 14 RBIs.
He's got a 6-game hitting streak going.
Deep in the box. Once again, Hannigan started out, now goes in. And this might be one of the guys where you see Harang pitch inside on Matt Holiday.
But sticking with McGuire's approach is, you know, just kind of take those balls inside until you get to 2 strikes. You know, you keep on looking away. Something you can go up the middle.
Here's an 0-1 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Matt has really done well on the road. .365. All 4 of his home runs have come on the road, but he started picking up the pace at home, and it's only a matter of time. This former batting champion shows you that no pitcher can feel assured or comfortable with him at the plate.
No doubt. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 runners on, 1 out. Outfield deep for Holiday. Again inside, 2 strikes.
And that's where Harang wants to throw enough inside there to kind of keep you honest. But he'll make his, you know, when he's trying to pitch or make an out, it's going to be away.
Look at those numbers. 1 for 18 against Harang. Inside, just missed. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
On Schreiber, our home plate umpire, and you can see from Fox Tracks that was inside off the plate. I agree with you. Now Harang may pitch him more inside than he will the other guys, but 2 strikes, he's got to protect the plate.
Holiday to short. Cabrera out at second. And they'll throw behind to third, but Colby aware of that and back in safely. And it's up to Freese with 2 outs.
And they're pretty tight up the middle. They got some gold gloves in this infield, and Phillips had a little trouble with the exchange.
Then heads up to maybe throw behind that runner and catch Colby Rasmus, but Colby was aware of that. That's a 27-year-old third baseman and hometown product, David Freese. Hitting .310, 3 home runs, 22 RBIs. Leads rookies with that .310 average.
And he's really done well with the hitting against Cincinnati this year.
He sure has. Second in rookie RBIs behind Jason Hayward. And this is launched into deep center field. Stubbs back near the wall, and he's got it. Cardinals strand 2, and there's no score. Dusty Baker just had a conversation with our home plate umpire, and now Paul Schreiber over to visit with Tony La Russa. Not sure what they're talking about, but let's take a look at the Reds lineup. Orlando Cabrera has been moved to the top spot, and he has had success there. Then Phillips and Votto, Scott Rowland batting cleanup. Then Johnny Gomes, Jay Bruce, Drew Stubbs, Ryan Hannigan, and Aaron Harang. Southwest Airlines starting lineup, and they'll get Jaime Garcia. What a start he's off to. Our Marshall Wireless Sprint starter, the rookie, in 6 starts is 3-2, but the 1.18 ERA.
Opponents only batting 195 against him. All 6 starts have been quality starts. He's done his job of keeping his team in every single game. And his Cardinal pitching staff has pitched well. The starters have been great.
Defense behind Garcia with Holiday, Rasmus and Ludwig in the outfield. Freeze, Ryan, Schumacher, and Pujols along the infield. And the battery is Garcia and Molina. Cardinals defense presented by Dobbs. Orlando Cabrera has raised his average up to 266. Hit safely in 6 straight games. Was at 240. And Dusty has moved him to the top spot in the lineup. So he's had 5 starts there and is hitting close to 500 in those games in which he's been at the top of the lineup. A real catalyst, they said, and they like him here.
It's really changed their offense, putting Stubbs down lower in the order, take a little pressure off him, and then moving Cabrera up there, Brandon Phillips. Of course, having Joey Votto, their best hitter, get hot, that has been the biggest help, but now he's got some runners on and ahead of him.
Cabrera has hit safely in 23 of his 31 appearances when he's been in the lineup. There's a look at Dusty's lineup. Long way to go for Ludwig. Drops in for a hit. Little blue base hit just inside the right field line. And it brings in Brandon Phillips, outstanding second baseman of the Reds. Our Plaza Tire Service Exmo Cam.
Sometimes better be lucky than good, as towards the end of the bat it'll keep on slicing away from Ludwig, stays fair, and Ryan does a nice job just to hold it to a single.
And here's another guy that has gotten hot now, Phillips. Last 13 games he's hitting .346. We've talked about the great trade the Reds made to get him. And he's played in every inning of this season with the exception of 1. He's in there every day. Has dealt with wrist injuries in the past, but this year healthy and starting to get hot. He's hitting .263 overall.
Dusty was commenting, looking at the scoreboard, that now he and his team doesn't feel so bad, as some of those batting averages are starting to get near their career averages. They were really down before they started playing so well and winning these games.
And Phillips leads their team in runs scored with 23. Also in doubles he has 11. This could be in the same spot almost. That's foul. One thing about Jaime Garcia, Al, that we've seen, not a lot is left over to the middle of the plate, and all kinds of movement. You know, you always talk about lefties having that natural movement, but this guy has got tremendous movement on his pitches.
A lot of times it's late movement. You know, if he does throw the ball in the middle of the plate, it's down where they just hit it on the ground. He gets a high percentage of his outs via the ground ball.
A ball and a strike on Phillips. Big gap in the right center. Colby Rasmus is shallow and playing Phillips to pull. Another throw over.
Very 4 for 4 in steal attempts, but get your infield back on their heels. That time Tony is trying to control that running game, and those throw overs, step offs, pitch outs, all called from the bench.
Here's the 1-1 pitch. Taken for a strike, and he also had runner at first, Cabrera, going back to the bag. Red start, a half game out. And then you have Milwaukee 4.5 games back. Pittsburgh a win over Chicago today at Wrigley Field. They're ahead of the Cubs.
Yeah, leapfrogged over the Cubs.
It's tapped foul.
You know, it's early in the season. Sure, the Cardinals have been in first place every day this year, and you don't want to relinquish that, but Everybody wants to make sure you're in at STLs on the top of the poll at the end of the season.
Yeah. It's early.
It's early, but you're not afraid to fall out, but you always want to avoid it.
And a swing and a miss by Phillips. And he strikes out. That's the first out and first strikeout for Jaime Garcia. Take a look at our keys to the game, and this is this year Jaime Garcia, where he ranks, not just with the rookies, but overall. Third in ERA, opponents only hitting 195. That's seventh. Slugging percentage of .233. He's tied for first. Home runs allowed, none. You saw that ground ball ratio near 80%.
And that's major leagues.
That's right, not just
National
rookies.
League or National League or
Sure.
rookies. It's major league. So he has been, I mean, you just can't emphasize enough how well he's pitched and been a shot in the arm to this rotation. But
here's Votto at 309 now with 8 home runs.
yes, you got to remind you if you look at Jaime and his success and then think about Loesch.
That's ripped to Schumacher off his glove into right. And the runner from first, Cabrera,
I don't know. I thought it caught.
winds up at second. I'm not sure if that was knuckling on Schumacher. It must have been, because he's not one that's prone to make an error like this.
No, and watch right after, right at it, goes there.
Oh, yeah,
and
that was knuckling.
He kind of ducked a little bit. I mean, there's no excuse, and he'll be the first one to tell you that. You have to make that play, but hit very hard. And then what we talk about with a knuckler is that ball actually will be dancing. Instead of being hit on a line, it gets that no rotation and just almost behaves like a knuckleball. And that's where you saw the jerk of the glove right as it was at his face.
So error on Skip. And here's Scott Rowland, their cleanup man, at 271. Had a nice conversation with Scott before the game, and he said last year could have been his final year playing the game, and got traded here. Walt Jocketty gave him an extension, and he said there's really only a couple places I wanted to play because of my home in Indiana. That would be St. Louis or Cincinnati, and here he is with the Reds. And what has turned out to be a fabulous career. And if not for Hee-Seop Choi, you wonder what his future would have been like after that night in St. Louis. Would he still be a Cardinal? You know, where would the numbers be with that shoulder that has bothered him an awful lot? No balls, 2 strikes with 1 out and runners at first and second. I was talking to John Mozeliak, who's on the trip, and John was saying, hey, he's one of the greatest defenders I've ever seen. He said you wouldn't teach how he does it, but he's so good at it. He's one of the best. I'm sure at one point we'll have an example of it, but he gets that wide base when he's at third, Al, and he will try to get in front of a lot of balls, but his hands are so soft that he'll pick the ball a lot of times to the side.
The modern infielder does that. You know, they don't really square up. Old school, how you were taught, square up, so if the ball takes a bad hop, it hits you.
Rowland is jammed and popped up. Pujols will call for it, infield fly, and makes the catch. So Rowland retired, and it brings in Johnny Gomes.
Just kind of remind me one thing. I think one of the keys to coaching is not to try and teach everyone just one way.
And that's what Mo was saying.
You have to understand that guys' bodies, their flexibility, everything, take everything in consideration. What some guy can excel at, the next guy can't do. It's whether you're hitting or whether you're fielding, whether you're pitching. You've got to allow a guy to find his natural, skill level and just kind of the way his body works, his mechanics, and what comes most comfortable to him.
Johnny Gomes hitting .261, 3 homers, but 19 RBIs in the 5th spot in the lineup. Reds have played an awful lot of tight games this year, and in those games, majority of the time they have won. A lot of walk-off wins they've had.
They've had an awful lot of come from behind, so they're obviously going to be either 1 or 2 run games, but I think they've had 10 come from behind wins, and majority of those have been walk-off. Gomes can Jason Mott will tell you, but Johnny Gomes can do that.
Check swing and a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
First series we were here that the Cardinals lost the last game of that series on a walk-off home run by Johnny Gomes.
Al, you saw that check swing by Gomes. We've seen that a lot with Garcia on the mound. A lot of late movement. You know, all of a sudden these hitters will give up on the swing.
It's that breaking ball too. You know, he starts it out low, bottom falls out of it, or the break, and ends out of the strike zone, but they've already committed.
1-2 now.
I was going to say that, you know, the success that Jaime's having keeping everything down is the reason why Kyle Loesch has struggled. He keeps everything up.
It's slowly hit. Garcia will throw to first. Not in time. Bases loaded. So in this inning, we've seen the bloop hit by Cabrera down the right field line, an error by Schumacher, and now an infield hit for Johnny Gomes.
Hit him like a man. But this is swinging bunt. Watch you get to it. Then he really had trouble exchange. He's standing flat-footed. He didn't have time for that crow hop, and you really don't get a lot on that throw.
Bases loaded for Bruce. Still made that closer than I thought it was going to be.
Yes. And you really question why you're even throwing it, taking the chance of throwing it away.
Pitches high to Jay Bruce. He began the year 1 for 19, and since that start he is hitting .299.
Jay's only 23 years of age and 4 home runs this year, 47 already in his young career.
1-0 pitch.
We saw him not, going away from trying to hit the long ball and utilize all the playing surface, and there's a lot of hits out to left field, and we're seeing him starting to mature a little bit as a hitter and start to hit balls to the opposite field.
1-1 pitch from Garcia. Again another check swing, and he went 1-2. That's Angel Hernandez. Two-strike pitch. Swing and a miss. Bruce and the Reds strand the bases loaded. Molina due up first when we come back. Reds strand the bases loaded. There's no score. Top of the second rolls in, and catch Cardinals crew tomorrow morning. Andy Bennis and Fred Bird are in for a surprise. Find out what that is. It's Cardinals crew. It airs Saturdays at 11:30 on Fox Sports Midwest, and that's made possible by Shriners Hospital for Children. Beautiful night for a game here in Cincinnati. 75 degrees at first pitch. No rain in the forecast for tonight. Here's Molina to start play here in the second inning. Molina, Schumacher, and the pitcher Jaime Garcia. Off speed pitch and a strike. Reds rotation 9-2 in their last 16 games. And opponents only hitting .232 over that time against their starters. And they absolutely dominated Pittsburgh in a sweep of the Pirates. Pittsburgh only scored 1 run in that 3-game series this week.
Came in with an 18-game scoreless streak, 18-inning scoreless streak.
Molina on the ground to short. Cabrera with it and makes the play. Brings in Schumacher. Schumacher has his average at .219, 1 home run and 5 RBIs.
A little 3-game hitting streak for Skip, 3 for his last 13, and this is a temporary move. moving him down the order, taking a little pressure off. Really been too hard on himself and has hit better than what his average would indicate. A lot of hard hit balls, but right at a fielder.
You did, though, see that on-base percentage, which for a leadoff man is so important. And it's only a 296. He's not drawing many walks. And right now, just not hitting like we've seen him before.
Well, he's hit 3 consecutive seasons.
He was telling me before the game, he says, Dan, you know things are going bad when you see something that you've never seen before, which was the double play that he hit into yesterday with the first baseman stepping on the bag and then throwing home to get Molina. He said, that is my season right now in a nutshell. 1-2.
Remember Bake McBride?
Of course.
Mozali was the Cardinals hitting coach, and just a really great guy and a really funny man. And Mozali, Bake was in a slump, and he sat there and he was on the bench and he said, what am I doing wrong? And it's maybe some of the best advice I ever heard.
Spoiled there by Skip.
He sit there and he said, he started laughing. Mo started laughing and said, Bake, you're a 300 hitter. One of these days you're going to wake up and start hitting 300. Don't worry about it. Just go about your own business and forget it. More times slumps are prolonged because you worry about it. It's human nature.
And Al, you know as well as anybody, this is a game of failure.
Sure.
The best in the business only do it right 3 out of 10 times.
Yeah, and how do you deal with failure?
You have a lot of time to think about it. In other sports where it's continuous, you make a mistake. Hockey, football, I mean, there's plays right away. Basketball, but in baseball, for instance, you're Yadier Molina, you just ground it out to short. Now you've got probably another hour to sit there and think about it. 45 minutes until that next time you come up.
I hope you come up again in this inning, but you're right. I mean, there's time.
Skip hits it out to center. Stubbs going back. That's over his head, and it's a ground rule double.
See, his luck has changed. If he was still in that slump, he would have caught that ball.
Right.
But really, that's how you will yourself to get out of these things, because you start in your mind, instead of thinking negative, you start thinking positive. I know this ball's going to get down, up, out over the plate, and that's a good sign, because we've seen a lot of teams, we've commented, playing him so shallow. And he starts hitting some balls, and that's what he's capable of doing. He's going to burn some teams.
Here's Garcia. Tony now using the pitcher, batting 8th, and Brendan Ryan in the 9 spot.
McGuire was telling me that he really thinks Jaime has a good batting stroke. I said, all I've seen him do is ground the ball, hit ground balls. He goes, I'm telling you, he's got a good stroke. It's going to really show up eventually. Let's hope it's right now.
Cardinals, arguably their best hitting pitcher is Wainwright. He's got a very good batting stroke.
He's a very good athlete.
No doubt. Very good golfer. He was a football player in high school. And we know what he can do on the diamond. 1 ball, 1 strike. Schumacher out there at second base. And 1 out here in the Cardinals half of the second.
Jaime is looking for his 2nd major league hit and hopefully his 1st RBI.
Matchups in this series with Wainwright against Mike Leake tomorrow. Leake, who made that jump from Arizona State to the big leagues, is 3-0. Brad Penny on Sunday against Bronson Arroyo. And then we're back home to face the Nationals on Monday night. Cabrera makes the play.
At least he got Schumacher over to 3rd, but there are 2 outs. And Mike Leake was the 21st player since the draft to be instituted back in '65 to not play a day in the minor leagues, come straight to the big leagues.
They say he has got guts. And he works very quickly too. He's one of the fastest workers they said they've had here in probably 10 years.
It'll be his first appearance against the Cardinals, but I remember in the first series we opened up the season here, and Dusty Baker was talking about him and just really commenting that, you know, hey, I have very high confidence for him. He can handle this. You know, he carries himself extremely well.
I mean, think about that, Al. I mean, bringing a guy straight from college baseball. We just talked about, you know, the failures that you have here in the major leagues. You don't want to bury a guy first time into pro ball. Have a little success before you get to the major leagues. But he's made that jump.
That's what happens with any player when you bring it. If you could guarantee that hitter is going to go have a 10-game hitting streak from the get-go, or a guy's going to go out there and throw shutout baseball for whatever, you know, or have enough success, failure will happen, and then you've got something to fall back on and say you still belong here. And when you get shut down, you know, in that first appearance, you get beat up or something like that, then you worry about losing that guy for a long time. And does that remind you of what's going through Brendan Ryan right now?
No doubt. 1-2 pitch to Brendan. What is the most exciting feat in Major League Baseball? Perfect game, triple play, or the walk-off homer? Text feat A, B, or C to 432-432, our U.S. Cellular text poll. Ironically enough, I was visiting with Hall of Fame broadcaster here at the Great American Ballpark, Marty Brenham, and I said, what's your favorite moment you've been a part of? And he said, well, no doubt, you know, you think about World Series teams, that comes to mind, but he said Tom Browning's perfect game.
Perfect game?
Yeah, which he threw back in 1988 against the Dodgers.
There've been 19 of those in history.
Right, and Browning almost threw another one. He was a couple outs away from throwing another perfect game.
Johnny Vandermeer has a record. He threw back-to-back no-hitters.
Another example of the Cardinals chasing pitches out of the zone. And that last strikeout of Brendan Ryan. There's a big curveball from Garcia.
You see how he starts it out. You know, it's right at the belt, and then it just the bottom falls out of it and down below the knees.
0-2 pitch to Stubbs. And a swing and a miss. Strikeout number 3 for Jaime Garcia. Ever wanted to be on the field and in the dugout before a Cardinals game? Well, you have a chance to do it. Bid now on an exclusive pregame field and dugout visit for May 21st. That's next Friday. Cardinals host the Angels. That ticket auction includes a VIP field visit, 2 tickets in the first row of the field box level, and more. And all you have to do is bid right now at cardinals.com/auction. Next Friday is also the Bob Gibson statue giveaway. You know, that's going to be a very popular night.
Big item. No, I want one.
No doubt. Me too.
Guess we'll have to buy a ticket.
I think we can handle that.
Oh, I thought when you shook your head, I thought you weren't going to spring.
I would spring for you, Al.
Oh, I was going to buy for you too. But you said it first, so.
Wait a minute, we're getting along too well right now, Al.
I'll be thankful.
I got to get one for the Lukester. He'll be fired up for that. 1-1 pitch. Taken high and away by Hannigan. There's a grand slam this year. He hit his first ever grand slam. And Hannigan has 16 RBIs, a couple of home runs.
Get Luke and Westland and go out with us on one of our production meetings.
Love to see that. Ludwig will take charge and makes the catch. So there's 2 outs, and it brings in Harang. Our production meetings are serious business. We talk about these games and getting ready night after night. Harang, a 154 hitter this year. No homers and 1 RBI. Liner into right, but Ludwig is there. Sends us to the third. And the top of the lineup upcoming for St. Louis. Voting is now open for the 2010 All-Star Game, which will be held in Anaheim. Help send your favorite Cardinals players to this year's All-Star Game. You can vote up to 25 times. Vote early, vote often, vote today at Cardinals.com. No score, top of the third. I'm sure some folks are maybe wondering who that gentleman is there with the shorts on in the Cardinals dugout. That's longtime traveling secretary of the club, C.J. Cherry.
And that's perfect segue because C.J. wants to wish happy birthday to his mother, Virginia. And Virginia, you should be very proud of C.J. He does a tremendous job moving all the players from town to town. And
don't forget broadcasters. Helps us too.
We're on a wing.
But very helpful for us.
Rip Rowan and his staff, you know, just the logistics, getting the ball club and all the equipment from city to city. I really appreciate what they do for us, and does a great job. So happy birthday, Virginia.
1-0 pitch to Colby. 2 balls, no strikes. He is in the leadoff spot in the lineup for Tony La Russa tonight. And Walkton was left stranded back in the first. Jim Hayes has joined us here in the booth as third inning rolls in. Jim always comes and has a little chat with us. Fly ball into left. Gomes under it, makes the catch. Your guest on the pregame show, you always have a live guest. And tonight it was Ryan Franklin. It was in this ballpark where Ryan Franklin last year learned he was going to be an all-star. And so far this year, he's really pitching well.
9 straight appearances where he hasn't given up a run. One of the problems he's run into, he's not been getting a lot of work and save opportunities. So he pitched yesterday in a non-save opportunity just to get the work in. And he said he's toying with the idea of maybe throwing a side session, but he doesn't get the same thing out of doing that as opposed to being in an actual game, because he said it feels different and he doesn't know if he wants to take that leap.
It's interesting you bring that up. Here's Ludwig, who singled first time. And Al, we talked about it at the end of last season. Franklin was not getting work. Now, I'll never forget, you just kept pounding the idea that he's got to get in some games here. You wanted him rested and ready to throw for the playoffs, but you had to keep him sharp down the stretch.
And he's 100% correct. You could throw in the bullpen, but it's not the same adrenaline. It's not the same intensity. It's counterproductive in some ways. Yeah, you get your arm loose, but it's not like pitching in a game. And he also, because I listened to it, it was a very good interview.
Thank you.
That, you know, you have to learn how to trick yourself. You know, if it's not a save situation, you sit there. I'm out here because I need this work, so I'll be sharp when I get the next one, instead of just flat out going out there mentally down.
Pujols, right center, track, wall, leaping. It's over the wall. Just got over the wall, and a home run for the Cardinals and Albert Pujols, and that breaks that 9-game drought for St. Louis. Pujols his 8th home run, RBIs 28-29, 2-0 Cardinals.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, but did Stubbs push it, knock it over the wall?
I was wondering the same thing, and I'm sure we'll see it on the replay, but he was very close to catching it. And a fan threw the baseball back on the field.
First of all, the ball's up and in, but Albert has that ability to get on top, hit a line drive where most cannot. And it's Albert's 8th RBI, or excuse me, 8th home run, 2 more RBIs up to 29.
Here's Holiday.
Here's what we're talking about. Watch Stubbs go back up here, and he jumps up. Nope, I guess it was that fan right there. We saw it go off of somebody and change direction a little bit.
That is Pujols' first home run in 64 at bats. Last home run was April 25th, and that was in San Francisco.
I remember opening day, he hit 2 home runs, and Harang was the opening day starter.
So a 2-0 Cardinals lead. 1 ball, 1 strike on Holiday.
And I told Dusty that the Cardinals had not hit a home run in 9 games. He didn't believe me.
I wouldn't either. After the way that this team started, and Dusty saw that firsthand. Again, take a look at the fan right above the G. And it did not hit Stubbs' glove.
Clearly it over the wall and into the guy with the bad hands.
That's off of Harang. Holiday hustling with a base hit.
You heard John Mozeliak on the pregame discussing the earlier portion of the season where the Cardinals were home run heavy, scoring a large percentage of their runs off the long ball. Now that there's no home runs being hit, what do you want? He said. But his point is, it's a long season and there are ups and downs along the way.
Now our point is that, you know, home runs are great, but you have to be able to score in other fashions because you're not always going to hit them. I thought the most revealing thing that John said was, you know, we want to get back to just playing good baseball because they were not. They were not playing fundamental good baseball. Way too many errors. Batting average was way down because they're expanding the strike zone. They pitched as well. They had the same ERA as the Reds did in those last 9 games. They won 7 out of 9. Cardinals lost 7 out of 9 with the identical same ERA.
There's Freeze. Flied out to deep center, excuse me, first time up. So base hit for Matt Holliday. With 1 out, he'll stand at first. They checked on Harang and they just gave him a quick look, said it hit off my hip, and he's still out there and he says he's fine. The Reds need this guy to be good this year. They need Harang to be like he was a few years ago. They have Chapman coming. They've got Leake. But they need this guy every 5th day to be what he was a couple of years ago.
They have 3 of their 5 starters are under 25. And they got Volquez and Chapman that'll be coming. You're right. You need some veteran leadership.
A check on Holiday. Going back to Ryan Franklin for a moment. He's the elder statesman out there, isn't he, Jim?
You call him that. I'm not. He doesn't like that.
Well, he's the elder statesman out there.
I call him the Cardinal closer because he kind of bristled at that title. He believes he's still 24. Whatever works.
But he has taken on that leadership role in the bullpen.
Yeah, he has, and he's taken a bunch of the young guys under his wing. Guys like Jason Mott. There's no question about it. He's embraced that role, and there's a real comfort level now with being the Cardinal closer. We were discussing the fact that he needs to pitch to be sharp, and you go back to the end of last season where his numbers were not good. Everyone wanted to point that to fatigue, and to hear Ryan Franklin say he feels there was a stretch where he wasn't used enough, and that's what got him out of sorts. He didn't feel it was fatigue.
That's exactly what it was. You know, he was averaging pitching once every 6 days about the last 3 weeks, and he is not a power guy. So he is so dependent on his command that he needs to pitch much more frequently just to maintain his location. I totally agree with that.
Almost bewildered is Ryan with the thought process that he was fatigued. He doesn't understand that.
Holiday was running on a 3-1 pitch, and it's 3-2.
Well, there was that one little spurt where I remember he was maybe a little fatigued, and so they were going to give him 2 days off in Milwaukee. It ended up where he didn't pitch in any of those 3 games in Milwaukee. Thursday was an off day, didn't pitch on Friday, and he came back in a save situation and blew it. But I mean, he was getting into that situation where
runner goes again. Freeze, base hit into right. Holiday around second. Bruce, a strong arm, fires it into third, and Holiday is safe.
Perfect execution of the hit and run. And Freeze is a guy, because of his ability to go and drive balls to right field, that, you know, that's another one that you would think it's perfect for. So he's running. Look at that controlled swing. As he really shot that ball to right him with you know, he knew what he was doing. See how he guides that ball and really stopped his swing and just pushed it to the right side.
So runners at the corners, only 1 out. And here is Yadier Molina. This is a guy that you would want no doubt, fellas, in this spot because doesn't strike out. You do get a little concerned with the double play, but more times than not, he is going to drive that runner in.
Struck out more this year than he has in any year past. That'll, I'm sure, will improve. But there's another guy that if he hits it on the ground at somebody, it's a double play.
And here's your double play. Phillips takes his time on the turn. 5-4-3 double play. Baseball Tonight brought to you by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. And right now, Jack in the Box is offering a variety of menu items and letting people choose any 3 for only $3 plus tax. Jim Hayes, Al Raboski, Dan McLaughlin with you. Albert Pujols has given the Cardinals a 2-0 lead with his 8th home run and RBIs 28-29. He's powering up with that candy bar out there too.
What kind was it?
Oh yeah. It was an oh yeah.
Well, Matt Holliday might go through more sunflower seeds than any major leaguer. That guy chomps on sunflower seeds the entire game.
Jim Hayes, don't you remember when you interviewed LaRue? He had an oh yeah t-shirt on.
T-shirt on.
That's a power bar that Albert was eating.
Thank you, Al. I wasn't even aware of that.
That's why I'm here, Jim.
It's Cabrera, Phillips, and Votto.
I guess you really are hungry.
Have you ever had one of those?
Oh yes, they're very good.
Supposed to say, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, many flavors. I'm gonna give you an oh yeah shirt.
I'd like one.
Polo shirt.
3-0. Leadoff man Cabrera. Now you talked to LaRue about Jaime Garcia. The 3-1 pitch.
He said the thing with Jaime is he has good stuff, but he keeps it simple. He said the key to pitching is keeping the ball down, staying around the plate, challenging hitters when you have to. And he says Garcia's done just that, and he's been a good student.
Fell behind 3-0 and now gets the leadoff man Cabrera.
When you watch the starting pitchers go to the mound, go to the bullpen as a group, there's Jaime watching, taking everything in, and LaRue says that's part of the success of being around the other guys and being able to absorb it. That's what he's done. He said it's pretty simple if you have the talent to be a good pitcher.
And then keep it simple.
Well, he's seen but not heard.
Yeah.
Definitely. He's very quiet around those veterans. One out, and here is Brandon Phillips, who struck out his first time up. Pops one foul and out of play.
Mr. Gibson told me that rookies are to be seen, not to be heard. Shut the blankety blank up.
Were you yapping, Al?
No, but he
just
informed me
made
that
okay.
I wasn't supposed to.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Phillips up the middle, backhanded by Schumacher. Strong throw to first. That may have been deflected by Garcia to slow it down. Now get Cardinals banking only from Bank of America. You'll get the Cardinals logo on your debit card, credit card, and checks. Plus, get extra base rewards with every credit card purchase. Learn more at Banking Center or bankofamerica.com/Cardinals.
You guys, I don't think have talked about Skyline Chili for the first time ever during a game in Cincinnati. Tomorrow, we're going to have a couple of the younger players do a little taste test with that stuff.
Holiday, a sliding catch. So tune in tomorrow. Pre-game show for Jim and Skyline Chili. There it is, Skyline Chili.
That is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
Famous here in the Queen City.
Oh. And our Jim Hayes is going to go get our guys sick by taking their. See what they think about that.
My question would be, how long is it going to sit?
Oh, about an hour or two.
Schumacher, a high fly ball into shallow right. He is doubled tonight. That's the first out. He's 1 for 2. Underway here in the 4th.
Isn't that part of the extra flavor of Skyline Chili?
Letting it sit?
Yeah, it sits for about 3 days, and then you thicken up that sauce or something. I don't know, you know. Good thing I got respect for my body.
Sometimes silence is all you need, Al.
It's deafening.
Yes. Tells a story about how you respect your body. As Garcia looks at a ball low. Jaime grounded out to short. 2-0 lead for the Cardinals. They've out hit Cincinnati 6-2. Odd schedule this 2-week period that the Cardinals are in, where you go home for 3, out back on the road for 3, and then you go home for 7, where you face 3 different teams.
Couple 2-game series.
Garcia shoots it foul down the left field line.
I was talking with Dusty about the interleague schedule, and he made a point. I totally agree. Is doesn't like it because you don't play the same teams. You know, you could lose a pennant based on, you know, what happens with your interleague schedule, and you're not playing the team you're competing with. You're not playing the same player or same teams.
And a strikeout of Garcia. One of the teams that the Cardinals will face, Kansas City, and they have a new manager. Continue your collection of the Cardinals bronze statue series, one of a kind replica of the Hall of Famer Bob Gibson. That's next Friday. 25,000 fans 16 and older receive a Gibson replica statue. It's compliments of Edward Jones, and it's just like the statue that's outside of Busch Stadium. And you can get your tickets always at Cardinals.com. Brendan Ryan struck out his first time. 0 for 1. Now, Brendan was saying the other day that he's going to try to go back to what he was doing last year. He changed things a little bit, but he has cut his hair. And let's see if this is a different looking stance to you, Al, or at least a different look.
He's kind of trying to incorporate what he was driving the ball and going back to what he did last season. In my mind, the biggest thing that he's got to do is keep that head still. You know, he's got way too much movement. He really is swinging at everything and expanding his zone and getting himself out more than the pitchers. They're just allowing him to get himself out as he's swinging at their pitch.
Little broken bat that Phillips will get. So Brendan Ryan is 0 for 2. Bottom of the 4th rolls in. It's 2-0 St. Louis. This date in history, 1916. Cards rookie Rogers Hornsby hits his first major league home run off of Brooklyn's Jeff Pfeffer. And that was back in 1916. One of the all-time great players, Rogers Hornsby. Remember when the Sporting News ranked the all-time players, Hornsby was number 9 on their list of the greatest players ever.
Multiple years of hitting over 400.
Yeah. At a 358 lifetime average. Scott Rowland up there. Popped out to Pujols. First time up with runners at first and second. 2-0 Cardinals and a 2-run homer by Albert. 0-2.
Not that Jaime had any trouble in the first inning. They had a couple squib hits and an error, stranded 3, but since that first inning, he's retired 7 in a row. He's been perfect. 3 strikeouts.
Another one of those guys that has come back from Tommy John surgery, and it's been no problem. Amazing. Surgery that has completely changed the landscape of a game.
He came up, you know, in 08 and had a couple appearances before he, you know, hurt the arm and had the Tommy John surgery. Out all last season, except for did pitch in 4 games right at the end, but it's a lonely feeling, rehabbing. But I have just tremendous confidence in him and his ability.
3-2 pitch is tapped off the plate and foul.
He just carries himself in a certain way. It's like you said, he's a sponge out there. He's learning. He's not. And he doesn't have that braggadocious attitude where he's going out there and thinks he rules the world because he's pitched so well. You wouldn't know he's around.
3-2, driven into right off the bat of Roland. Ludwig with room and makes the catch. Brings in the left fielder Johnny Gomes. Gomes had an infield base hit in the first that loaded up the bases, and with 2 outs, Garcia struck out Jay Bruce.
2 hits allowed. The leadoff to Cabrera. There just was a little quail into right field. Then the swinging bunt from Gomes.
A breaking ball that's taken low and in. Mentioned tomorrow is the civil rights game, and some of the game's biggest stars will be here. Last year was Hank Aaron, but we just saw Joe Morgan, who now has been hired by Walt Jocketty. He's working with the Cincinnati Reds. Willie Mays, we understand, will be here tomorrow. Out to center with plenty of room, Colby Rasmus. Cardinals will wear replica 1947 uniforms and caps for that game. Baseball will celebrate the year of Jackie Robinson's Major League debut. Jay Bruce 0 for 1 tonight with that strikeout.
Dan, the Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in 1947. Cardinals were one of the last teams to integrate. It wasn't until first baseman Tom Alston made his debut for the Cardinals on April 13th, 1954. Became the first black player in St. Louis history.
3-0. I think it's wonderful that Major League Baseball does that.
Yeah, one great story about Stan Musial was there was a group of the Cardinal players when Jackie Robinson was going to come through St. Louis the first time. A group of the Cardinal players said that they were going to boycott the game. They were not going to play. And somebody asked Stan Musial, and he said, "What are you going to do?" He goes, "I'm going to play." And the rest of them followed suit. We got a ways to go, but we have come quite a way in our race relations.
Out to visit Molina with Garcia.
Many people believe that a lot of the success for Jaime, you got to credit Molina, the way he's guided him. Really things like that. When every time he gets a little bit untracked, he walks his first batter, Molina immediately will go out there, try to go out there and say, okay, let's don't make a pattern of this. Let's don't, you've got to attack these hitters, be aggressive, but keep it in the zone and down.
So 2 outs. Nice block by Molina. Al, I saw some today before the game that I think you would approve of and love. One of the Reds was trying to strike up a conversation with a Cardinal starter who said, "You know what? I have to pitch against you in a couple of days. I don't think I need to talk to you." And Brad Penny, he said, "Look, I'm happy to visit with guys, but when I got to pitch against them in a couple of days, simple hello and time to move on."
I do approve.
Force play at second, and it's 2-0. Civil rights game tomorrow, and it's part of our Budweiser What's on Tap. Be game 2 of the series. By the way, all 3 games right here on Fox Sports Midwest will come your way at 6. Budweiser, the great American lager. And the game tomorrow, local time at 7:30. So that is a time change. So locally here, 7:30. On the air back home, 6 o'clock. Wainwright and Mike Leake. Leake 3-0, Wainwright 5-1. 8th start of the year for Adam tomorrow. Colby hits it fair just inside the first base line. And he'll stop at second base. Leadoff double.
That breaks an 0 for 10 for Kobe Rasmus. Playing off the line at first, and he goes and gets the ball down and away, hooks it, but it goes on through and down in the right field corner. Let's go back to what you were saying one more time about Penny, and I'll have to tell you a little story.
He was very cordial. He waved at that particular player, but he just said, "Hey, I'm not one of those guys that likes to talk to the opposition. If I got to pitch against them, I'd rather not do that. It makes me a little uncomfortable."
A lot of my thoughts is what I was taught by Bob Gibson, and obviously you learn things. But Tim McCarver and I had a pretty good relationship when we played together. And when Timmy got traded, and the first time I faced him, he got a base hit off of me. And I vowed that I was so mad at myself because I felt like I didn't have that same mental approach, because here was my friend. And I learned a lesson right then. It's like, okay, he still can be my friend, but I don't like him when he's wearing the other uniform.
Sure.
And I just felt like I didn't have the same mental approach when I was facing him. And I was just mad at myself because I did something that I shouldn't have done. Got a single. It was harmless, but it wasn't my mental approach.
Ludwig tonight 2 for 2 with a run scored.
Now, I got to tell you another aspect of it is sometimes there are little circumstances where you do have to remember that you guys were once teammates. When Dick Allen came back to the National League, and my rookie year, he was his year in St. Louis, and Dick was very, very kind to me and my family, and taught me a lot of things. But I was very interested in what he went through and some of his dealings, really in racial situations.
Ludwig, deep drive into right. Bruce is back at the wall, leaps, and this one is gone. He slams his glove down following the 2-run homer. Ryan Ludwig opposite field, and it's 4-0 Cardinals.
Come on, Ludwig. This is his third 3-hit game this week, and we're only in the 5th inning of this one. So he's 3 for 3, and now he gets this home run. I think he's a low ball hitter. This is one of the few times he jumps up on top of a pitch that's up out of the strike zone and drives it out. His 5th home run, and a couple more RBIs, giving him 15.
Jay Bruce with a little Pedro Guerrero out there.
Yeah, I saw that.
We're referring to the Jack Clark home run in the playoffs. And
he slammed his glove, threw it down in disgust. But Dick Allen came back to the American League. He was playing with Philadelphia. And now I've really committed that I never speak to any opposition players. We look at the home run again. He just felt he should have caught it.
That would have been a great catch.
Sure. And so as a visiting player in Philadelphia, Dick was coming off the field, and in the meantime, I'd had some success and everything, and came over to, and just shake my hand, and I just totally ignored him. And he goes, "Oh, so that's how it is now." And I felt like I was a little, and I said, "Hey, I'm sorry, but Gibby," and he goes, "Yeah, but you can say hello to your friends."
And that's what Brad Penny did. The changeup, it looked like that time, from Harang, and strikeout of Pujols, who is 1 for 3. This season, it's easier than ever to find the seats you want or sell tickets to the games that you can't make on StubHub. It's the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Cardinals. Get great seats, great service on StubHub all season. StubHub.com and choose your seats today. Third strikeout for Harang. Holiday is 1 for 2. It's a couple of balls in this ballpark that just got over the wall here at the Great American Ballpark, which we have seen as a park that sees its fair share of home runs. If you look at how Walt Jocketty, though, is trying to build this team, it's pitching and defense. And people around the organization talk about the importance of trying to get guys that can sink it, not have a fly ball pitcher. Remember, they had Eric Milton a couple years ago that
It made no sense.
No sense at all.
He was a fly ball pitcher and gave up a ton of home runs, and they signed him here. But you know, Walt understands that hey, we're not going to have a lot of money. So the one thing we can do is we have to attract good pitchers, like you said, sinker ballers, but we can help them out by having good defense.
There's a look at Walt. For too long, Aroldis Chapman will be in that rotation. They'll get Volquez back, who is serving a suspension while recovering from surgery.
And I don't understand that. They're allowing him to serve his 50-game suspension while he's on the disabled list. Now, you don't get paid, but you know, I mean, it just doesn't seem like that's right either.
2 strikeouts back-to-back here in this inning. Here's David Freese. Freese 1 for 2. He flied to deep center and also on a hit and run picked up a base hit through the right side.
So many of those drug suspensions in the minor leagues have happened to a lot of the Dominican players, and I commend Major League Baseball. It really is doing an educational system now that for all young prospects, you know, they're making them register down there, and then they're taking them through classes. And one is, in a major part, is to explain the drug policy. And you know, when a lot of these kids are just innocent victims and not realizing what they're taking, somebody else, you know, an advisor or something like this, is telling them to take some of this stuff, and they're naive enough to do so.
Here's a 1-1 pitch.
Been a lot of scandals about some of those advisors taking the majority of their bonus.
Three and 1. And a walk to David Freese. So the Cardinals get a look at a young pitcher tomorrow in Mike Leake. And yesterday, the legendary Bud Norris shut down the Cardinals. He faced 28 batters and went to a 2-0 count only 3 times. In fact, only 7% of plate appearances against went to 3-ball counts compared to the major league average of 19%.
Just in my mind, that says one thing. Cardinals, this guy has control problems, and they didn't allow him to get in trouble because they were swinging those pitches out of the strike zone.
Cardinals had 51 swings on his 99 pitches. They missed 15 times. That's almost 30%. Here's Molina. 2 outs, count of no balls, 1 strike. By the way, David Freese is hitting close to 500 now against the Cincinnati Reds. 6 a serious number. Cardinals score 6. You get a 20-ounce coffee, fountain of frozen drink for just $0.25. The next day at On the Run and Mobile. Win or lose, Cardinals score 6. You score 25-cent drink set On the Run. David got that Player of the Week. It was against Cincinnati when he really jump-started his success in that homestand.
He came in batting .450, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs against Cincinnati, and he's 1 for 2 tonight and a walk.
Ooh, very close that time, but Freese back in.
See where Yadier's brother Benji having a little feud with ESPN.
Over.
Felt that you know, ridiculing him and making a mockery of the fact that he doesn't run well.
Really? 0-2 pitch to Yadier Molina. Grounder hit to short. Force play at second and out. Hannigan, Harang, Cabrera coming up. It's 4-0. Let's turn now to our AT&T trivia question. And who is the last Cardinal rookie pitcher to allow no home runs in a season? AT&T trivia question. The answer, back in 1943. Now Garcia has not allowed a home run, but if you go back and take a look at the rookie starters for the Cardinals that did not allow home runs, there was just one that had 20 or more starts. It was 1906, Ed Carger. But the rest of them, it's pretty much single digits in starts.
And that's for a whole season too. You know,
right.
Talking about a starter.
First pitch to Hannigan here in the bottom of the 5th. Take it for a ball. 4-0 Cardinals lead. Couple of home runs. Albert Pujols, Ryan Ludwig, both with 2-run shots here in Cincinnati. John Mozeliak is on the trip. Bill DeWitt will be here tomorrow, part of the civil rights game. It's a foul ball. And John was saying that Garcia really reminded him of Adam Wainwright when Wainwright finally made the club. And it was just like the switch was turned on, and mentally they felt and physically they knew that they should be here.
And that really took place in spring training. And all of a sudden they showed up, and all of a sudden they had a different look in their eye and said, you know, hey, you may think I'm going to be competing for a job. I think I'm going to win a job. And that's a big difference.
Kyle McClellan and Rich Hill at the start, getting most of the headlines for that final spot in the rotation, and then Jaime Garcia just pitched his way onto the team.
And people are saying because he missed just about all of last season, you know, he started out at AAA and at least get going, but he flat out won that job in spring training, and I think he was the best pitcher in spring training, better than any of the other starters, and he's just carried it right into the season.
And let's face it, he has not pitched like a 5th starter on. You know, you look at other rotations, their 5th starter. This guy has been much better than that.
No doubt, and many times he's been matched up against the other team's number 1.
Right.
You know, you got Harang there. He's their number 1. His first start of the year was Milwaukee's Gallardo. Then he had Lincecum. He had 7 shutout innings when he was matched up against Santana in that, 20-inning game.
3-2. Off the glove of Freeze. Ryan, long throw to first, and not in time. And they give the 8th place hitter Hannigan a base hit. This might be one of those cases too, Al, where you just put that in your back pocket.
Well, right now, I mean, I got to give him a little credit, because with all the problems that he's had, it would have been probably the simplest and maybe, as you say, the best thing to do. But, he still has great confidence in his ability. And we're talking about Brendan Ryan, that even with all of his problems of late, he's still willing to try and take that chance of doing, he's a lot of his errors are going to be because he's overly aggressive. So I think that there is a sign that he has not lost any confidence in his defensive ability.
Strike 1 on Harang. With Garcia and his ability to hold that runner on and keep Hannigan close, Hannigan only has about a 2 or 3 step lead. This has got to be a very good bunt by Harang, because if Molina has a shot, that's going to second base.
Make sure you bunt it out far enough from the grass that Molina can't get to it. See, that ball stays in the dirt, you're going to get what you're talking about. You're going to get maybe a double play, but they'll definitely get the lead man.
It's interesting, the Reds earlier today brought out 2 L screens. The L screen, of course, the pitching screen that protects the batting practice pitcher, and they were working with their pitchers and bunting, and they actually set it up like 2 goalposts to try to push it between the two on the right side of the diamond.
George Kissel used to have a lot of games to play with, whether it was sliding, getting pitchers to slide, or bunting practice with pitchers, but try to make it really fun. Do something a little different. Instead of just getting a bunt down, to really be able to guide it into that area to where it's very tough to defend.
And Harang strikes out, so can't help himself, and some boos.
Little things, not getting the bunt down, can be the difference between a victory, no decision, or an L.
Now Cabrera, the shortstop leadoff man, 1 for 2. Last time that we saw Cincinnati, they were averaging about 2 runs a game, and now they are third best in the major league since that time, averaging 6.
And look what the Cardinals are averaging. 2. they've switched.
This could be 2. Freeze to second, out there, on to first, double play. 5-4-3 on the double play. Coming up, Molina, Schumacher, Garcia. Baseball on Fox Sports Midwest, brought to you by Steel Outdoor Power Equipment. Powerful, lightweight, dependable, versatile. Yard care solutions start at steeldealers.com. By Lumiere Casino. Enjoy more than just the game. Check out Lumiere Place Casino and Hotels. Baseball ticket packages at lumiereplace.com. And by AT&T. Find out what's possible with the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T. Rethink possible.
And I got a very nice letter from Colleen, believe it's Grass, Oakdale, Illinois, and said her father was a World War II veteran and a big Cardinal fan. He passed away last season, but before, briefly, he was a patient at the Marion, Illinois VA CLC, the nursing home unit, and just how many of those guys there, that veterans of World War II, Korean, Vietnam, they're just fascinated by Cardinal baseball, and it's a big part of their life. And so we want to just pass on thank you for your service and appreciate you watching all the time. We don't thank them enough. And there was a special attention to a Mr. Ray, and I apologize, she has beautiful handwriting, but I can't read the last name. We were all trying to figure it out, but all you guys in Marion, we really appreciate there at the VA.
This week, Fox Saturday Baseball, Ryan Howard and the Phillies head to Milwaukee tomorrow. Coverage begins at 3, presented by Budweiser. The Caravan this year, we made a stop by a VA hospital, and it was just wonderful. Those guys were so excited to see the players come through, and many of them watch the games on television.
Well, I forget about all the people that are in nursing homes and kind of shut in different hospitals, and it is a big part of their life. And we don't mean to forget about you, so we just want to thank you for watching, and it's our pleasure bringing you Cardinal baseball, watching these kids that have this tremendous talent. And also to tell you parents that they're really, really good guys off the field.
1 ball, 1 strike on Garcia. Brendan Ryan on deck. Well, how good is Jaime Garcia getting that double play? You go back to the first, which could have been a big inning against him. And that slowly hit Garcia, just trotting down the line. And there's 2 outs, but it was a bases loaded situation. Got a strikeout, and tonight Garcia struck out 4 and allowed just 3 hits.
That's why I've been so impressed with him, is he just worries about what he can control. And Brendan Ryan, boy, we just feel so bad for him. You got to know Brendan and know that he is really a great kid, played so well last year. We all just assume he's going to pick it up and continue that. And it's been such a struggle.
Now, the one thing I've seen, though, this past week that I hadn't seen earlier, some of the body language, and you see Harang at 94 pitches. And it just may be wearing him out right now.
And it just wears on you. And you just, but just going up there was so negative. And as you say, his shoulders are slumped. He's up there, he's feeling like he's just struggling to make contact.
And again in the hole, 1-2. I mean, even right now, you just saw him spin away and grabbed at the bat, shaking his head a little bit.
I just wish he would just stay in that batter's box. Just try and relax. Just trying to grip that bat so tight. The head moves. Everything's moving. His judgment of the strike zone hasn't been real good.
Southwest Fox tracks, and it tells us very close to being strike. Maybe on the black.
I said he's expanded the zone more times than not.
Strikes out for the second time tonight, 0 for 3. Four 0 Cardinals lead. Bottom of the 6th rolls in. Let's take a look at our pitch-by-pitch feature brought to you by Chevrolet.
Well, it's been a while since you've seen a guy so lost at the plate. You really question every pitch, swinging through fastballs, breaking balls. He just barely gets a hanger right there, gets a little piece of it. Here's a better breaking ball, or there's the one that could have been runged up on, and here's the one that he strikes out on the break. But look at how everything collapses. Everything, so much movement. The head's got to move when your body moves that much, and you just got to fight your way through it, and it's so frustrating. It's hard to watch.
4-0 lead, 8 hits for the Cardinals, 2 home runs, and only 3 hits for the Reds, as Jaime Garcia has pitched very well once again tonight.
One final thought about Brendan Ryan. Many times you say, well, you got to go down to the minor leagues and just play every day and kind of relax. But you can't do that with him because he's out of options.
Right.
You do that because of his talent, someone's going to pick him up and you'll lose him. So he's just going to have to fight through it right here.
I mean, he would be picked up in a heartbeat.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only thing all of his teammates can be is supportive.
So that's 3-0 on Phillips. It's 2, 3, and 4. Now, we talked about the struggles of the Cardinal shortstop, but you look at Garcia and what he's done here tonight, and the way he has started this year, absolutely fantastic.
No doubt about it. He's given up 3 hits. 2 of those were infield singles, and the other one was a bloop hit to right to lead off the game for Cabrera.
Mike Lincoln is getting loose in the Reds bullpen from 3-0 now to 3-2.
Jaime has another inning. He'll be flirting with an ERA at 1. It's 105 right now.
3-2 pitch. Spoiled by Phillips. You saw that ratio, Al. I mean, he's only thrown 28 balls on all these pitches.
And he's averaging a little bit better than 6 innings per start, so it's not a 5 and fly.
A 3-2. Phillips, fly ball into right. Ludwig with room to make the catch. Ball carried a little bit in right.
Came all the way back from the 3-0 count. He has walked 1 man, but that's something he's really done a pretty good job of throwing strikes.
Joey Votto, the hitter. The other way, Holiday near the line, and a foul ball.
And on top of the wall.
Noted that these newer ballparks down the lines, you only have about a step, and then you hit that wall.
And the 70s, it really seemed like Philadelphia was the only ballpark that had that type of foul territory down the lines where the stands closed in. But now they all are. A lot less foul territory, which hurts the pitcher.
Now, you mentioned before the young staff that Walt has put together here in Cincinnati. Young position players, too. Now, Rolen and Cabrera are getting up there, but Rolen is in the fold for the next couple of years. But a guy like Votto is someone you can build around, and there's a look at the National League leaders in ERA, and that is updated. Garcia 1.05 and Ubaldo Jimenez 0.93. Swing and a miss and a strikeout of the dangerous Joey Votto. That's 5 tonight for Jaime Garcia.
See, we're set up away. Because he's always down in the zone, you get a lot of guys to chase pitches. Got that movement on his breaking ball and change up.
Saw last at bat with Rolen, a lot of changeups. Let's see how he approaches him here. Third plate appearance for Scott, and an off-speed pitch for a strike. Rolen has popped out and also flied out to right. Oh, and 2. Oh, 2 pitch. Check swing. 1 and 2. You saw Rolen, veteran move to step out of the box, take his time, maybe disrupt the rhythm that Garcia's in.
And then you see so many pitches down the zone. When he throws one up there, it's out of the strike zone, but somebody could change that eye angle and they'll chase that pitch.
1 and 2. And another strikeout for Garcia, his 6th of the night. Home runs tonight. Ryan Ludwig, 368 feet, opposite field shot. Pujols as well, a 2-run homer. His at 392 feet. It's added up to a 4-run lead. Gladys Weiss is tonight's merchandise winner in the Hyundai Long Drive Inning Sweepstakes. If the Cardinals hit a home run, Gladys will qualify for the Hyundai Sonata drawing in September. To register, visit St. Charles Hyundai or St. Louis area Hyundai dealer. Good luck to Gladys. We've seen a couple of home runs hit already tonight. And now we have a Chevy call to the bullpen. Right-hander, former Cardinal Mike Lincoln into the game. And the Cardinals will have the top of the lineup. Colby Rasmus, Ryan Ludwig, and Albert Pujols. Ludwig and Pujols, the 2 home run hitters. Mike Lincoln, ERA of even 3. This is his 14th appearance. 12 innings pitched. He's given up 9 hits.
And they went from having an overworked bullpen to now guys needing work down there because their starters were so effective.
Here's a 1-1. We were talking to a couple of scouts before the game about Jaime Garcia, and these scouts came away after watching him in his previous 2 starts awfully impressed, and you see why. I mean, everybody's saying, well, is this the real thing? And you'd have to say yes. I mean, this guy hasn't faltered one bit.
Dan, when you watch Jaime, you know what he's doing, he makes it look so easy. There's nothing that he's doing that is you know, so out of bounds that you say, well, he won't be able to repeat that. And so you really are walking away impressed. Say this is the real deal. As long as he keeps that same personality, the work ethic, keeps on learning from all the other starters, you know, follows the game plan that Molina and Duncan set up for him, he's gonna lose some games, you know, but most of the times because the way he's pitched this year, he's lost 2 games because they didn't score any runs for him.
Right. There's a good breaking ball there from Lincoln. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ludwig tonight 3 for 3.
Remember Mike when he was with us, he got 13 appearances real quick, and then he tore up his arm, missed 3 full seasons before coming back to the big leagues.
No activity in the Cardinals bullpen. No reason to. 1-2 the count on Ludwig.
The mental makeup of Jaime has is for real.
Seeing Ludwig spray the ball tonight. Left, center, and his blast was an opposite field home run. And as you talked about, it came on a high pitch.
Right. We're normally seeing him taking a ball down, and he's going to get a breaking ball here down. He looks at that, and a lot of times his stroke is you just see him walk into those low pitches and drive that ball. But to get on top of the one that he did was that wasn't his normal stroke.
Just saw that graphic, and with this streak that he's on, his average is at 301 now. There's a broken bat and foul. Look at that. I know we talk about it a lot, but that's why you get concerned with the maple bats and their makeup when they break like that. Just pray it doesn't hit a spectator or a player.
See right off the end of the bat and see how that just shatters it. Bats are so light, and they really don't have a lot of balance to them. So, you know, when you hit a ball off the end of the bat like that, that's what it does. It snaps.
3-2.
I wouldn't think Mike Lincoln is 34, would you?
Not at all.
Well, he's 35 now. He had a birthday since the season started.
It was a hanging breaking ball that time. Even Lincoln shaking his head a little bit.
Oh, you'll get away with it, some of them. Sometimes they're so bad that you'll get a swing and miss.
I mean, we've talked about it before. I just remember when he was with us, just how nasty that curveball was. Ludwig again into deep right center, but that'll stay in the ballpark. And that's Stubbs making the catch for out number 2. Let's go back to our text poll, and this is brought to you by U.S. Cellular. Most exciting feat, the perfect game, according to our fans, and we appreciate all the texts that U.S. Cellular received. Albert Pujols, the hitter.
Most difficult. You also notice Albert's got a little change to his look. Clean shaven.
Our Padres almost picked up a no-hitter the other day. They still don't have one. Pujols 5 for 6. We saw Ubaldo Jimenez for Colorado, the Rockies' outstanding starter, with no-hitter earlier against Atlanta. Here's a 2-0 pitch to Pujols. Seen him do that a lot, Al, where he just seems to be out in front a little bit and a lot of pop-ups. He did that in the Houston series, and he's done it here tonight. He also popped one over the wall.
Talk about, you know, he's hitting .316, and we're talking about how bad he's swinging. You know, but he's set the bar so high.
And he's even said, I'm just not quite comfortable right now.
And it's true. You know, at times he said that, and you know, and he puts on just a tear, and you say sure, but you know, his numbers are down, and they will be back up.
3-2. You have a history like that, don't think for a second Mike Lincoln doesn't know that he is 5 for 6 Pujols against him.
And David Weathers is going. I'm glad somebody else is.
Albert strikes out. Was 3-1, and he came back to get him. Time to stretch. We're in Cincinnati and the Great American Ballpark, home to the Reds. On a gorgeous night for baseball on this Friday night. Cabot Premium Wood Care and our legendary performance, this date in baseball, 1988. The secret weapon pitches in the 19-inning marathon against Atlanta. I was at that game.
I was doing the broadcast of that game, and not only did he pitch, he was the losing pitcher in the game, but he pitched 3+ innings in that one. The first 3 were shutout innings. Rick Mailer was opposing him, and Mailer told me, he said it was the most pressure he ever felt as a pitcher. And Rick finally got the win, one of their starters. But Jose did a great job that night, and it was almost like the first position player to have a losing decision like Mather did earlier this year. But you know, since something like Rocky Colavito back in the 50s or 60s.
Now, speaking of pitching, how good has this guy been tonight?
Well, the line speaks for itself. You know, 0-3-0. No runs, only 3 hits. No errors committed by the Cardinals.
Left center. And this ball is off the wall. Gomes to second. We'll stop there.
The first of 4 hits that really have been hit. A couple infield, breaking ball really didn't do much. And Gomes really a fastball hitter, but because that ball really didn't have the good true break, it stayed up in the zone. One of the few real mistakes that they've been able to center.
The only time he's been in trouble tonight was first inning. He had the bases loaded, and he struck out Jay Bruce, the hitter he'll face now with a runner at second.
It's the only time he had multiple base runners. And that really was, you know, a leadoff Quayle, then a line drive that was knuckling on Schumacher. He dropped. Then an infield single by Gomes that just was a swinging bunt. And then he bowed his neck, struck out Bruce, who's up right now with the runner in scoring position.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Make it 0-2. Bruce tonight with that strikeout and a 2-out walk in the 4th.
Crowd did not like the call, but on Fox Tracks it showed it was a strike.
Oh, 2 pitch. A liner caught by Brendan Ryan. Got a shift on for Jay Bruce, so any other defense sets a base hit and possibly an RBI. This case, it's a lineout.
Well, it's a good case. Now, as a second base runner, he has to know, and Gomes did. He knew that Brendan Ryan was playing behind him. So, you know, you never want to get doubled up on a line drive. If he did not know where Brendan Ryan was, you would totally expect him to just take off and run. And his first step was back to second base because he knew he was playing right behind him.
Now Stubbs hitting just 193, 3 homers. The top pick for the Reds a few years ago.
Dusty Baker got a lot of heat earlier in this season because he stuck with Stubbs and he was struggling in the leadoff spot, but they think he is, you know, a rare combination, a lot of power and a lot of speed, but now he's much better down in the order.
1-1. Warming up Carlos Fisher, the bullpen for Cincinnati. Reminder again tomorrow will come your way at 6 St. Louis time. Wainwright and Leake out to visit again Molina.
That's what we're talking about. Molina just really in tune with Garcia to where when he just sees one little thing, you know, he just doesn't let it go beyond and gets him right back on track.
Now the Cardinals start to get one of their guys loose in the bullpen. For us, it's very tough to see. It's blocked away.
It's a right-hander. McClellan A little easier from that camera.
Now that helps.
Yes, it does.
That helps a lot. Al, do you think Tony has a shorter leash with Garcia, at least initially, because he is a rookie? And even though he's pitching like this, you might think, well, stick with him. That's well hit. In the left center. And a home run. Cuts the lead to 4-2.
That's why Dusty is so excited about Stubbs. He's a base stealer. He hits home runs, fastball, and middle half. And now Jaime has allowed his first major league home run. He's upset because he's been so good at staying on the corners, staying down. That one was up and in the middle of the plate. And he hit it over central, but he had enough pop to get it out there. And we got a ball game. So it may be right now, here's your short leash, as Dave Duncan just got confirmation that Kyle McClellan is ready, and you make sure it's always going to stay a positive inning, or a positive outing. Jaime, in his 7th start, 7 quality starts.
And Tony makes the motion to the bullpen. McClellan coming in. Another outstanding job done by Garcia. Our call to the bullpen presented by Chevrolet. 4-2 St. Louis. Right-hander Kyle McClellan coming in his 14th game. 2.35 ERA, 15 1/3 innings. He's got 14 strikeouts to 7 walks. Opponents hitting just .214 against him. We saw Garcia, Al, during the break. We had a camera on him. And he's calm now, but he went in that dugout. He was not happy.
He was very, very upset at himself, and I really would like to see that emotion. There's a lot of guys be coming out of this game and just be patting themselves on the back. You know, this was a little bit ago when he came in, and you see how upset he is. You know, he's in line for this victory. He can only win. There's a lot of guys who would just be patting themselves on the back because he wants it so bad, and he really has learned that he's going to be a winner. And you can see how he's just so frustrated because he gave up a 2-run home run. He made a 4-run lead to a 2-run lead because he wanted more.
There's a broken bat, and it's popped up on the infield. Pujols has it. We'll see a pinch hitter here. Miguel Cairo.
We've seen a lot of guys that just are so content to get out of there and, you know, say, I did my job. And he's not content. He did a tremendous job. In his mind, it could have been better. Cairo has been getting a lot of pinch hit at bats, but you can see not a lot of success. But he thought about retiring and wasn't sure he was going to make the ball club, but because of his experience, he's got another stay.
And he breaks his bat. Now in the bullpen, it's Nick Massett, the hard thrower. The Reds in their bullpen. You see Garcia still upset. That home run, by the way, was measured at 428 feet.
That wasn't a cheap one.
No, it wasn't.
That's why, you know, Stubbs, you know, he's 8 out of 9 with you know, in steal attempts. He really hasn't hit that well. But that was his 4th home run late last season. He really showed that he could hit some home runs, and you know, Dusty Baker really thinks he's going to be a terrific player. He just got to go through the growing pains.
2 outs, nobody on. The 0-1. Cardinals will have Holiday, Freeze, and Molina. Looking ahead to the 8th, it's 4-2 with 2 outs. The 1-1 pitch. Strike 2.
I told you Miguel Cairo in his career versus St. Louis is a .366 hitter. Former Cardinal and veteran. I mean, most clubs want that bench full of veteran guys. Cardinals are doing a little bit different with so many young players on their bench. But boy, Stavino and Jay have really come through as a couple of the best pinch hitters in the game, and called strike.
High breaking ball, but Cairo down on strikes. It's 4-2. 4-2. Cardinals have the lead. Jaime Garcia in line for the victory if the bullpen can make it stand. Take a look at our prime cuts of the game. They're presented by Hardee's. And some home runs hit tonight. We've seen 3 of them. Pujols would end the 9-game homerless drought for the Cardinals. That was a 2-run homer, and so was Ludwig's opposite field shot. And then Drew Stubbs just moments ago off a Jaime Garcia home run. No cheapie, 428 feet. And it's cut the lead to 4-2. Matt Holliday leads it off for the Redbirds.
And a little instruction, a little teaching going on. But once again, we've seen a lot of guys come out with a lead and be very, very happy. Obviously that was not the case with Jaime Garcia, and just because, he expects more of himself.
Now Holliday, and here we go. It's the 8th inning. Cardinals have out hit the Reds 8-5. And this is slicing down the right field line and out of play. Matt Holliday tonight. He is 1 for 3. Nick Massett, 18th appearance. Look at that ERA. It's close to 8. Opponent's hitting .333 against him, but Dusty has gone with the young Nick Massett an awful lot. See Dave Duncan still teaching there with Jaime Garcia.
Massett, remember opening day, he got charged 5 runs, including grand slam by Molina. So that's why he's taking him a while to get that ERA back down. But
he pitched at 97.
He can be a real handful. He's tied with Leaks and Owings for the staff lead in wins. So 2 relievers are tied with the rookie for the most wins.
Here's the 0-2.
Has been pitching much better of late, and when they have a lead, they have the arms down there to close it out.
And that backs up, but Holliday still alive. Looked pretty good, didn't it?
See, they backed up on him, and meaning that it was a breaking ball. He wanted it away, and then all of a sudden it literally backs up and goes inside.
And this has popped up a mile high. Votto's got it for the first out. Holliday retired, and in steps David Freese. $27,578 tonight. David Freese with a base hit to right. That was on the hit and run.
Send Holloway all the way to third.
And then eventually Molina grounded into a 5-4-3 double play and ended that threat. 1-0 pitch with 1 out here in the top of the 8th. 2 balls, no strikes. David has also fly to deep center and grounded into a fielder's choice. Quietly really putting together a fine start to his rookie campaign. 2-0. Picked up his first ever major league home run in this ballpark late last year.
And because of the start that he's gotten off to, at some point he's gonna have a little dry spell, but it shouldn't faze him a bit because he's achieved so much success early. Keeps on playing the Reds. You know, look at this.
He's in the Hall of Fame. 476. So this is updated. Couple of home runs and 5 RBIs against Cincinnati.
Even the rest of the National League, 279 average for really being your first go around playing every day.
Our top researcher is Dan Hyatt, and Dan went back and looked at rookies that have had success against the Reds. No surprise, Al, that guy named Albert Pujols pretty good on that list.
How about Bo Hart?
Bo Hart hit .536 in 6 games. Chris Duncan, 9 games, hit .548 with 5 home runs.
Yeah, Rasmus last season hit better than .350.
And now David Freese, 2-2. By the way, Pujols 17 games his rookie season of 01. Hit .356, 3 homers and 12 RBIs. Up to Molina with 2 outs here in the Cardinals half of the 8th. Yachty 0 for 3. We've seen Molina, who normally shoots it to right, pulled it 3 times on the ground. Couple to short. He also grounded into that 5-4-3 double play.
Dan, I like the idea of sending McClellan back out there.
And no activity for the Cardinals in the bullpen. Then you
get a lefty up if Votto gets up there.
Right. Figure that Franklin is ready to roll tonight.
For the 9th.
McMassett and Yadier Molina, a little history, and Yachty 2 for 4 with that grand slam.
Yeah, his first grand slam of his professional career. That was off of Massett in the 8th inning.
Massett was originally selected by Texas in 2000. He's had minor league stints with both Texas and the Chicago White Sox. The 1-2 pitch. 2-2. Massa was also involved in the deal with Ken Griffey Jr. that sent Jr. to the Chicago White Sox. And Jr. in the news.
Yes.
With Seattle.
We'll see him at Busch Stadium. Jr., who career winding down. What a great one.
Unfortunately for him, when Jim Bowden made the deal to bring Jr. to Cincinnati, he just couldn't stay injury free. He had a couple of good years, but never was able to put it all together for the length of that contract.
I think he averaged like 106 games per season.
Good at bat by Yachty. 2-out walk. The Reds have a couple lefties in their bullpen. Daniel Ray Herrera, the screwballer, and then you have Arthur Rhodes, longtime veteran. Votto at first, playing in front of Yadier Molina. Still, by being in that position, still able to hold him fairly close to the bag.
Exactly. And, you know, you could hold him close, still there if you want to pick him off. You're in a better defensive position for the left-handed hitter.
2 outs, runner at first. Schumacher is doubled tonight. You would have to think that advanced scouting would say, don't overlook Yadier Molina. He might lull you to sleep, but he can swipe a bag.
Yeah, Yachty has 4 steals and ties Rasmus, but a better percentage. He's 4 out of 5. There he goes. He stepped off. He left too soon.
And he is.
Oh, and then Phillips got
out. They finally make the call. I'm not sure he was going to call him out, Al. He didn't call him out until he went over to check on Phillips.
I guess Yadi's hand got Phillips either in the mouth or the nose.
It's Miguel Cairo talking to our home plate umpire moments ago, and you would have to think that he's talking about the strike call, the third strike call. It was a high breaking ball that was called a strike on Cairo.
Dusty came out there to talk to him. Molina got Phillips with his helmet when he popped up, hit him in the face with his helmet. But this is more, I wonder if Cairo got thrown out and then Dusty's defending him.
5 and 55 recap. Freeze 1 for 3. We always take a look at 5 players that could have an impact tonight for various reasons. Votto 0 for 3. Harang, their starter, the 4 earned runs on the 2 homers. Phillips 0 for 3, and Ludwig 3 for 4. He hit one of those home runs for the Cardinals, a 2-run shot. And that's a live look at Dusty and Joe West talking. We saw during the break why Molina went to Brandon Phillips, as you mentioned, Al. He got him with the helmet, and he took a pretty good shot to the face.
Yeah, that's when the pop-up slide, he slid, and then when he came up, his helmet caught Phillips right in the face. There you'll see it. Now watch. Tags him, and it comes up and smokes him pretty good. It's not a glass jaw, though.
No, it's not. So Molina caught stealing. Bottom of the 8th, 4-2. And a strike at the knees. This is the top of the lineup. Cabrera, Phillips, and Votto. Orlando Cabrera tonight is bounced into a double play, 5-4-3. He's grounded out to second and single.
And we got a lefty warming up. I don't only go by there. Crowd will like that. Another breaking ball that stays a little high. Looking at the calves of the pitcher warming up, I think it's Trevor Miller.
Cabrera out to deep left. Holiday with room to make the catch. All important first down in the books to start the bottom of the 8th. Brandon Phillips 0 for 3 tonight. You look at how 1 through 4 tonight, and that's Cabrera, Phillips, Votto, and Roland. Only one time did they reach, and that was on the air by Schumacher in the first. And Cabrera also had a single. That's it.
That was just a flare. You know, you kind of look at the first 3, the middle 3, the last 3. You know, if you can really contain the first 3. You know, they're the guys, the table setters, usually your third place hitters, your best hitter. If you can really control them, then your next 3 are going to be the guys that are maybe not the high average, but another breaking ball that he's having trouble with. Phillips in the last half innings been, you know, his mouth is sore and now his hip.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals.
There's a lefty warming up, and now with Votto, their most dangerous hitter coming up, you would think that Tony will go to the pin again.
I know the fans are booing, but clearly just a couple breaking balls that got away from McClellan. He just didn't have a feel for it tonight. So he got the first man, then he hit Phillips. Votto stepping in against a lefty when we come back. Back in Cincinnati, it's 4-2. Cardinals lead it. Joey Votto will be the hitter, and he represents the tying run. Cardinals counter with the lefty, Trevor Miller. Again, impressive this year. 11 games and 143 opponents hitting against him.
Votto, as mentioned, just been their hottest hitter of late, and he is their best hitter.
Making some noise now here in Cincinnati. Votto is 0 for 2 in his career against Miller and against lefties this year. That's not shabby. 282.
Not at all. Plays every day, so he's getting starters like Garcia and relievers like Miller. 76, sweeping breaking ball. And when Trevor's on, he just has that ability to start that ball in the middle part of the plate and then just break off the plate.
Votto reached on an error. Flight out to left and a sliding grab by Holiday and struck out. The check on Phillips, who has about a 2-step lead, if that.
It's a slider. That's his best pitch. Yadier's calling time. Wants to go over the signs again. Throw to first base. And that's ordered from the bench. Takes a spring and out of the base stealer. And hitter's kind of a little impatient. He wants to hit.
The fly ball out to left. Votto just throws his bat. Matt Holliday with the catch. Phillips back to first, and Scott Rolen will be the hitter. Could be one and done for Miller.
I don't think anybody was warming up. As down the way he's on the top step here, so there is somebody warming up. Boggs.
So Mitchell Boggs comes in. He'll get Scott Rolen when we come back. Mitchell Boggs comes into a tight spot here with the tying run at home plate. The veteran Scott Rolen. Numbers for Mitchell this year. This will be his 13th game. 13 innings, 10 strikeouts, 6 walks. He's given up 1 home run, and opponents hitting just over 250 against him. This would have been one of those spots out. Would have been surprising to see Tony go with Franklin in a 4-out save.
Yeah, I thought about that, but ideally, and Tony is one that really started it with Eckersley, of trying to have your stopper pitch exclusively in the 9th inning, but Franklin very capable of going a little bit longer.
First pitch, an off-speed pitch at 86, and strike 1. Scott Rolen has faced Boggs 3 times. He's 1 for 3, and Rolen tonight is 0 for 3.
And Boggs has allowed runs in 4 of his 12 appearances, as he's trying to learn how to be, a late inning reliever.
Rolen, fly ball to the right. Ludwig under it, makes the catch. Good job of the Cardinals bullpen tonight. We head to the 9th, and it's 4-2.
4-2 Cardinals as we go to the 9th in Cincinnati. Coming up after the game on the post-game edition of Cardinals Live, Pat Paris and Jack Clark back in the studio in St. Louis. The long ball is back. Jaime Garcia's historic start continues, and it's Friday night. That means somebody's going home with a hungo. It's all coming up after the game. For now, we send it back to the booth. And Dan and Al, guys.
Okay, thank you, Jim. And 4-2, top of the ninth. 8 hits for the Cardinals, couple of home runs, 2-run shot by Ludwig, and a 2-run homer by Albert Pujols. The Cardinals had interest in Arthur Rhodes a couple years ago, and he wound up signing here with Cincinnati. Look at that opponent's average, Al. He's still getting people out. .69 ERA, and opponents only hitting 100 against him.
And more than a strikeout per inning. He was a little more expensive than their Cardinals blood, but he has been an outstanding reliever over the years. He's 40 years of age now, and he's got 17 plus years in the big leagues.
All-time leader in holds. It's been with Baltimore, the Phillies, Oakland, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Seattle, the Florida Marlins.
It'll be over 800 appearances when the season is done.
He's got a nasty disposition too. From Waco, Texas. It's slapped the other way, and a base hit for Schumacher. 2-hit night.
That's something Skip can build off of.
Baseball tonight brought to you by Bud Light Lime. The drinkability of Bud Light with the refreshing taste of lime. By AT&T Uverse, a better TV experience. Visit att.com for details. And by Bank of America. Cardinals banking only at Bank of America.
Well, you have to believe with Boggs coming up here, he's only going to bunt. Didn't want to waste a pinch hitter by bunting, but I would think Rhodes is not the easiest to bunt, and also the 7-time Gold Glover out there, Scott Rowland, very aggressively charging down the line.
That's to Rhodes. He'll go to second, out there on to first, not in time. So they get the lead runner.
That's the run you risk if you don't send one of your pinch hitters up there to bunt, that you may not get that guy into scoring position.
Brendan Ryan is 0 for 3. Pair of strikeouts tonight. Also popped out to the second baseman.
You know, Dan, a guy who's struggling like this, one of the worst things you could have him do is hit a home run. You know, because then they start thinking they can hit home runs at ease. But right now,
he'd take anything.
But right now, if there's ever a guy that needed to hit a home run,
this is it.
Brendan Ryan.
So 1 out and a runner at first.
Even a walk would be a moral victory for him right now.
And now we just didn't see this coming. I mean, his spring was fine. You know, it was short because of the surgery, but
yeah,
it was fine.
And you know, in fairness, though, you know, we talk about how tough it is for, you know, we were doing that the other day with Berkman, saying because of his knee surgery and missing the first 12 games that he was behind and got off to a slow start. But Brendan didn't get all those at bats, and it just hasn't been helpful that he's opened the season in such a slump.
Oh, 2.
I think Brendan ought to walk up to home plate and tell the umpire, hey, it's 0-2. He'll save you two pitches.
Not to pick on him, but it seems like every time he's up there, it's 0-2 or 1-2. Always behind
What did
the
I tell
count.
you earlier? You got to go up there and not swing and just try to to decide whether balls are strikes or not.
Brendan hits it sharply to Phillips. Out at second. Safe at first.
It sure was hustling down there and kept the life, kept this inning going.
Home Depot doing more on defense, and a good play here by Brandon Phillips. They're very close to turning two.
Yeah, he stumbled right there, but he got the throw off, and then very close at first, but he was safe. Hit this ball hard, something he can really at least felt like he hit the ball with authority.
And now we'll see a pinch hitter for Rasmus, Joe Mather.
I don't know if I like this. I mean, Joe's a fine outfielder, but I think Kobe is a better center fielder, and you have your lead. There are 2 outs.
And Colby had a double and a walk tonight. Or if you're going to do this, would you be more inclined to use Stavanoa to see if he can knock one out of the park?
Can't do that because, well,
and then you can
if
bring
you
Mather
don't, we got to bring him in, but you're really depleting your bench. You're using 2 guys,
yep,
for one move. That's why you send Boggs up there trying to protect and save some of those guys.
1 ball, no strikes on Joe Mather. Pinch hitting for Colby.
Joe has a couple hits as a pinch hitter, but 2 for 16.
One ball, 1 strike with 2 outs and a runner at first. Rhodes finally set, and here comes a 2-1 pitch. 2-2. Looking ahead, Cincinnati will have Gomes, Bruce, and Stubbs coming up. Two balls, 2 strikes with 2 outs. The next 2, Joe Mather. Here it comes. Popped up. Phillips wants it. Bottom of the 9th. Rolls in. Gomes, Bruce, Stubbs coming up. Our Budweiser player of the game, Jaime Garcia, 6 1/3, 5 hits, couple of runs, both earned, a walk and 6 strikeouts. Our Budweiser player of the game in his 96 pitches. We won't disagree with that. Cincinnati Reds, 9 wins in the final at bat. That leads Major League Baseball. Ryan Franklin, the Cardinals closer and a former Red, into the ball game. Former Phil as well. And Franklin, 15th appearance, 2-0. And 7 of 8 in those save opportunities.
That blown save, it was kind of one of those, should be a quarter of a blown save, as he inherited a runner at third base and scored on a wild pitch, but it tied the score, and then his teammates rewarded him with a victory. He's gone 9 scoreless appearances.
Gomes 1 for 3 against Franklin. First pitch, left field. That ball is foul. Well, that was a hanger right there.
Yep, and Franklin really had not pitched a lot lately, so he got an inning to work yesterday. Prior to that was the Friday night in Pittsburgh. You can see this ball is clearly foul. So, strike 1.
Gomes on the night. Infield single in the first. Fly to center. Also doubled and scored in the 7th. 0-1 pitch.
Better breaking ball.
But as you mentioned, Franklin, a control pitcher, has to be precise. And you know, you think about a guy like Lidstrom, who we saw for Houston. He comes in and just throws so hard. And I think that's what most fans equate a closer as. A hard thrower comes in, blistering fastball, and Franklin is pretty much the opposite.
Or a guy that's got a freak pitch. Now, Franklin is a different type, but he was an all-star last year. He's 7 for 8 in save situations this year amongst the league leaders. Had 38 a year ago, making the all-star team. But he does it because he has so many weapons and he can throw so many different pitches.
And he's also good at getting lefties out.
Right. He's got that split finger pitch that really neutralizes the left-handed batters. It's a sinker right there.
Want to go down and in the 1-2. They get it in. It's 2-2.
It's always a little harder than you think. There's 92-mile-an-hour sinker.
Right.
But it's not. When he came here, he wanted to be a starter. But they felt like moving the bullpen. And I think he finally accepts it. And here's a curveball.
Time call.
I shouldn't say accepts it. He knows it's the best place for him.
Yeah, he loves it.
Yeah. If you know, everybody kind of wants to be a starter when you start, but if you have a defined role in the bullpen, that's the best place to be because every night you got a chance to compete and contribute. Back to the curve.
2-2 pitch. Ground ball. Deep in the hole. Brendan Ryan to first. Safe.
Well, Albert tried to really sell that coming off the bag, but give the Reds credit, and Gomes was really hustling down there, and as you showed, 9 comeback wins, the most in major leagues. They never really feel out of it. Tremendous range, gets that ball, great effort.
Tying run comes to the plate. Jay Bruce. Bruce 0 for 4 in his career against Franklin. The man on deck, Stubbs, has never faced Ryan Franklin. Look where Pujols is playing.
That run, I mean, you're down by 2. So, I mean, the Cardinals can let that run come in. It really doesn't mean much. Take it off and run. And I don't think I agree with allowing them to get the guy in scoring position. I don't like that. But
Al, you also put yourself in a position where you eliminate the potential of a double
play. Well, I understand that, too. And I think Yachty's going out there that Franklin really did not pay any attention to him. And Franklin is not easy to steal off of with his quick feet. And they just kind of really conceded that one.
One ball, one strike. Some of the fans on their feet here at the Great American Ballpark.
Of course, they have fireworks after tonight, so fans that might have left are now going to stick around a little bit longer and try to cheer this team on.
Now, this city is revved up for this series, too. Well, Mike Shannon talked about that on the pregame show. A little buzz in the air when you got to the ballpark. And Dusty Baker saying before the game what a great test this would be for his club.
And the Cardinals have had really the right approach. Sure, they want to win this first one. They want to win this series, but it's not life or death.
1-2 pitch. 2-2. Chance of Bruce here in Cincinnati. 2 balls, 2 strikes. That's not Bruce, that's Boo. I don't like it as Franklin stepped away.
You mentioned that Jay Bruce, only 23 years of age, already has 47 home runs in his career. Kind of convinced him that you know, home runs are great, but you're going to be a much better hitter and a higher average hitter if you use all parts of the field. And he is over 250 now, where last year he was down in 220s trying to pull everything.
Two pitch to Jay Bruce. Here it comes. Bruce, little liner into center. Mather dives for it. And lucky that he kept that in front. If that gets by him, run scores, and Bruce puts himself in scoring position.
You got to give, you know, we kind of question whether Rasmus, you were hurting yourself by making that pinch hit appearance with Mather, but he did a great job on that one. He gave every effort to come in on the ball, and like you said, a tremendous job to leave his feet and still keep that ball in his grasp and not let it get behind him.
Stubbs is homer tonight. A long home run, 428 feet off of Garcia. He's 217 with runners in scoring position. He represents the winning run. The tying runs are on base. Stubbs a ground ball. Ryan to second. Out there. On to first. Not in time. Really scores to make it 4-3.
Really wasn't hit hard enough to turn 2 with Stubbs' great speed. Now the Cardinals, the way they played it, when Gomes got to first base, they were gambling that it didn't matter if that run was scored. They think they can get 3 outs. Well, even with that run scoring, they can get 3 outs before they can get 2 runs.
Denny's Reyes throwing in the Cardinals bullpen. Ryan Hannigan 1 for 3 and a single back in the 5th.
Now you really do have to guard against the steal of Stubbs. He's 8 for 9 in steals. He's got terrific speed and a base stealer throughout the minor leagues.
He even tests Molina. Franklin is good at the plate. We've seen he's got a very good move.
It's very quick footwork. If you were going by the times of Franklin and Molina's ability to throw to second, you would not run in this situation. But we'll see if he gets a lead and really pays the respect that he should to Molina.
Well, if you're Dusty, you're saying to yourself, well, I want to be aggressive. I want to get him into scoring position, but yet I don't want to run myself out of this game.
And you lose the tying run. Tying run's on base right now.
Not running, and Hannigan looks at a strike.
The Reds are also very good at going from first to third. They've been the best at that in the major leagues in the early go. a base hit. You could get the first and third and only one out. But the Cardinals also have a chance with Hannigan running. The catcher, they can get the double play they're looking for.
One pitch. Hannigan, a base hit into center. Tying run in scoring position. Winning run at first. A little surprised we haven't seen Dave Duncan come out and just talk to his closer.
Hanging breaking ball. Lucky it's only a single. It was right at Mather, so they couldn't go from first to third. Chris Izzy is the pinch runner.
And Ramon Hernandez will be the pinch hitter.
Izzy will pinch run at first for the catcher. And that brings up Hernandez, and Dave Duncan will now pay a visit.
It's 3 base hits allowed.
Still got the double play in order. Hernandez has a 5-game hitting streak, batting .381. And in his last 12 games, is hitting over .350.
This will be his second pinch hitting appearance of the year.
And Hernandez has started 19 games behind the plate. They have a very good situation right here. And Dusty was telling me that these guys split so much of the catching duties, almost 50-50, that he feels that they will be so well rested late in the season, their catchers.
There's Heisey, the pinch runner for Cincinnati. Tying run at second base. Hernandez ground ball to short. Out at second. Double play, and the Cardinals win it. They hold on. 4-3 the final. Smiles all around, and the Cardinals win game 1 of this series here in Cincy. It's a big win out here for the Cardinals.
Absolutely. But moral victory for the Reds because they put a scare in you with their trying to come back like they do so often. But this should be a good weekend of good baseball, and we got all 3 of them here on FSN.
All right, well, stay with us. Post-game show coming up. 4-3 our final tonight.
Cards open a big early season series in Cincy with a 4-3 win tonight. Jack Clark and I standing by to break it all down on Cardinals Live. Your thoughts, Jack?
Well, just a great win, win the first game of the series, and everybody contributed. It was a little dicey there at the end, but, hit the ground ball to the right guy, and they turned it, and going home with a W. Never
in question, was it? Plenty of that coming up from Jack Clark and more, including Cards and Reds battle for first place, but the Birds do get back on the right track tonight to hang on to the lead in the Central, plus Jaime Garcia on the bump in the role of stopper, and he again performs like a future ace. We'll bring you plenty of player reaction from Cincinnati, including Tony La Russa's post-game thoughts. Plus, we're handing out a Hungo Award tonight. Want to wish happy birthday to Star Wars creator George Lucas. May the Force be with you and with us. Cardinals Live is coming up next.